Professor Dr.
Please welcome Professor Dr. Selcuk Mulayim.
Sanat tarihini ruh ve zihniyetlerin tarihi olarak
Art history is the history of spirits and mentalities. Those who consider it that way are even more right today. We're in the first quarter of the 21st century, and what we observe is that the mind of human beings is loaded with the new inventions of electromechanics, and we focus more and more on electromechanics and the new developments in those areas. And day after day, we are isolated from the historical atmosphere, and we retreat to our own small shells. Those who are really withdrawn resort to embracing more different types of art, branches of art that save us from those daily life issues. But the sphere of art is becoming more narrow because we're moving away from motives. But it is important that we have come to a position in which we try to move away from chaos, but we also focus on geometry. As we look for a sort of robustness to save our spirituality, we fall into the risk of embracing a wrong type of positivism. The geometric designs in the history of art does not belong to anybody. They can be found in all the cultural spheres of our planet, and we see them in every part of history. Human beings have always taken up this type of art in varying degrees and with various types of intensity. Everybody, more or less, has been passionate about that area and has sought happiness in that area. Applied geometry can overlap with art, and those who want to go in that direction try to turn chaos into a certain structure. That's where they put their efforts. And it bore a lot of rich consequences, creating a pile, an accumulation of figures. And this is a human invention. This endeavor is a human invention that connects figures, shapes with numbers, and it is a summary that seeks impeccability. This is a deterministic attitude, and a deterministic attitude always seeks invariables. But there are changes, there are a series of changes in art. Those that meet our needs and those that are functional should not be changed for no reason. Throughout a long period of time, certain forms are embraced passionately, but others are eliminated. And it also disrupts a certain type of order, creating a transformation. These changes do not really eliminate art completely, but lower scale styles change over time and themes change, and there are many reasons why. A general principle tells us one thing: migration, war, trade, natural disasters, a total displacement of artist groups, the birth of a strong faith system, or another type of depression. Those who chose geometry espouse a certain type of vision, and they have a certain model of how they can reproduce universe. They start with tissues and then carry on with the human anatomy and then spreading out to the entire galaxy. They focus on how there is a clockwork mechanism, a clockwork structure in the entire nature. There are no coincidences in such a structure at a system. They think that there is no room for arbitrariness. Seen from that perspective, geometric compositions and nature are in a perfect overlap. However, there are certain question marks facing us here. Natural laws can natural laws be perfectly applied to art? Is it an indisputable fact? This is a question. Organic world and the nature have different types of rules. There are no links. Some people say that. There are certain arguments that seek no relations between organic laws and natural laws. The world doesn't have evil and goodness. However, chaos and order exist simultaneously. If you are afraid of chaos, it will be of no help to you. Nature is not that orderly. There are also destructive powers at work in nature. Our world turns around the sun while spinning around itself at 1,673 kilometers per hour. But this spin, this rotation slows down. The magnetic center of the world is changing. Ivan Safa says the following: celestial bodies move perfectly. They're circular. However, the orbits of planets are not circular, they're elliptical. We all know that. And every celestial body move with varying speed on their own orbits. There are meteoroids that are not perfect circles, and there are also asteroids. We should pay specific attention to them because they're loose on their own, and there is a possibility that some of those celestial bodies might hit our Earth. Volcanoes do not erupt with regular periods. There are so many surprises that take many lives. There are dormant volcanoes, for instance. What does that mean? It basically means a danger that is impossible to predict. Why am I talking about all of these? A small incident, a small accident can disrupt everything. Against destructive powers, predictability creates a lot of chaos. Human beings try to hang on between orderliness and chaos because every day we live may be our last day. It looks as though nature repeats itself. However, it is unpredictable. People say that the world has broken loose. Sometimes we fear danger and we say, "Oh, do not speak of evil." So, what does pure geometry mean in art? Let's carry on with the answer to that question. The behavior patterns of living beings are turned into shapes by human beings. Shapes are diluted in cultures and spiritual models, and they are developed into details throughout a certain period of time, and in a certain region, shapes develop with the identity of that specific region. Every physical shape, object or motive are indicators of a faith system or a spiritual model. Therefore, an art historian needs to be aware of this and needs to be aware of these meanings. In mathematical sciences, geometry is the most vivid one, the most vibrant one. But when it becomes a topic of art on its own, it may turn things inanimate. If you dedicate yourself to geometry with obsession, you may start to devalue other types of art, because if you connect traditional culture in this very specific area, then your power of interpretation weakens and talent diminishes. Geometry or calligraphy, if you devote yourself entirely to these two specific areas, if you don't want to see anything else, then you become blind to a certain degree. You then just become an electro-optic expert, and you confuse the means with the end. Such an obsession is quite similar to using the same medication for every disease. In the game of geometry, you can add forms to one another, but you can also divide them, if you follow the right rules. But when you think of vegetal motifs or animal motifs, when you look at such a composition, such divisions actually disrupt the meaning in that composition. What kind of stylization can you do in geometric art? Because everything is already very abstract, very very brief. And a form that seems identical to everyone will remind people of the same things. If you focus on just drawing the most perfect forms of geometry, then you will soon lose your power of illusion, your power of conclusion. Because progressing pieces of art should also have imperfections. An entirely perfect creation. Is that what you want to do with geometry? Then you will have to face this question: who are you competing against? Let me just throw this burning question if you want. Anything that involves mathematics needs to be simple at its core, on paper or on the screen. However accurate you are with the calculations, then you can easily predict the next report. But actually, this is not how the nature works. And above all, if you want to come up with an original style, you are obliged to go out of geometric grids, geometric boundaries. If you carry on with your work only with shape analyses, then over time, your own productions will be just reproductions of one another. Hendese, geometry only, can eliminate an original aspect of a character and solidify, petrify one's mind. Islamic art is not only about geometry. It's like a loss of identity in an artistic circle. That's not what Islamic art is all about. If you insist only on hendese, on geometry, it's as though you only focus on the Selçukis and you give up on the Ottoman history. It's as if you want to eliminate your spiritual history as well. Let's conclude now. A purist geometry attitude is a wrong path that submits itself to computer games. An artificial intelligence or a quicker computer game can come up with better designs. So this road is closed to the artists of the future. The young artists of the future should prepare themselves to live in a more richer and fuller way. I'm saying all of these because I'm involved in these things for 50 years. If I have had a misstep, if I have caused a misstep, I'm sorry. I might have given you a wrong perspective, but actually, any subject in art becomes more beautiful with another area. Before I conclude my words, I hope that you will expand your souls and you maintain your sanity. Thank you.